Okay, so picture this, right? You've just polished off like an amazing holiday meal. Maybe you're by the fire, relaxing, and you're thinking, man, I could really go for some Serie A action right now.
Haha. Yeah, I can see that.
Well, perfect timing, because today we are doing a deep dive on the Udinese versus Torino match.
Oh, this is a good one.
Yeah, and it's not just like your typical end-of-year game.
Yeah.
There's actually a lot more to it.
A lot more going on under the surface.
Exactly. And luckily, we've got some really great pre-match analysis to work with. I mean, we're talking recent form, head-to-head stats, key players, really the whole 9 yards.
Sounds like we've got our work cut out for us.
We do, we do. But that's what makes this fun.
Absolutely.
So I guess just to set the stage a little bit, this match is pretty crucial for both teams, wouldn't you say?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I mean, Udinese, they're right there, knocking on the door of European qualification.
Mm-hmm.
But a win here would really, solidify their chances.
Yeah.
But then you've got Torino. I mean, they started the season strong.
Yeah, they did.
But things have been a bit shaky lately.
A little bit, yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, this is like a classic mid-table clash that could really be a turning point for either side.
Huge implications.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned Udinese needing a win, but let's be honest, their home form has been, well, kind of worrying, right?
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, 3 straight losses at the Stadio Friuli.
That's not good.
No, not at all. All by 2 goals as well. And they've only scored once in those 3 games.
Oof.
Doesn't exactly inspire confidence, does it?
Not really.
Yeah.
Not going into a big game like this now.
No. And, when you look at those losses a little closer, there's sort of a pattern,
Interesting.
They've really struggled against teams that press them high up the pitch,
Okay.
disrupting their build-up play, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, Torino are definitely capable of doing that, so that's something to watch out for. Plus, historically speaking, Udinese have had a tough time against Torino. Only 1 win in their last 7 encounters.
Not great.
Not great, no.
Now, while we're talking about inconsistency, we got to talk about Torino.
Right.
Only 1 win in their last 8 matches.
Yep.
Although, to be fair, their last away game was a victory.
It was.
But can we really read into that too much? I mean, it was against the bottom club.
True.
But then again, historically, they've kind of dominated Udinese. I mean, we're talking 10 wins out of their last 18 matches over the past decade.
Yeah, that's a pretty dominant record.
It is. So it's like, what do we make of them? It's tough.
Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head. It's the inconsistency that's the real head-scratcher with Torino.
For sure.
Their away form is a perfect example of that. But honestly, it's their scoring record that really tells the story, I think. 7 goalless matches this season?
Oof.
That's a problem.
Yeah. That's rough.
And to me, it points to a few things. Maybe a lack of creativity in the midfield.
Potentially.
Maybe an over-reliance on, Sanabria, their lone striker, to bail them out every game.
It happens. You mentioned Sanabria, and I just have to bring this up because it's a wild stat. He's faced Udinese 8 times in his career.
Mm-hmm.
Never scored against them.
Wow.
Crazy, right. And then on the other hand, you have Florian Thauvin for Udinese. He seems to be a bit of a talisman for them. When he scores, they usually win.
Interesting.
But here's my question. Do you really think Thauvin is the key to this match? He can be absolutely brilliant, don't get me wrong, but he also has a tendency to sort of disappear for stretches.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Thauvin, he can definitely change a game.
Oh, absolutely.
But I agree, he's not always the most consistent player.
Right.
I think a lot of it will come down to how Udinese sets up their midfield, to be honest.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
If they can control the tempo, give Thauvin some quality service, then yeah, he could be a real threat.
Mm-hmm.
But if Torino disrupts their rhythm, well, he might struggle to make an impact.
Right.
And as for Sanabria, I mean, it feels like a mental hurdle as much as anything,
Yeah, for sure.
If he can overcome that, finally score against a team that, seems to have his number, that could be a huge confidence boost, not just for him, but for Torino as a whole.
Big time. Now, I got to throw a curveball at you here.
Hit me.
Torino has this, well, it's kind of a weird trend.
Okay.
They tend to play really poorly in their final match of the calendar year.
Really?
Haven't won a single one since 2016.
Oh, wow.
7 matches, 0 wins.
Interesting.
I know these kinds of stats can be a little misleading, but do you think there's any sort of psychological factor at play here? Like, could that end-of-year pressure actually affect their performance?
That's a fascinating thought. I mean, look, I wouldn't necessarily overstate the impact of these, quirky stats.
Of course. Yeah.
But Sports psychology, it definitely plays a role in performance.
But,
And so, yeah, I mean, if Torino starts the match thinking about that trend, it could become a self-fulfilling prophecy. On the other hand, they could also use it as motivation, right? To break the cycle, end the year on a high note.
right, right. Okay, so to quickly recap, we've got Udinese struggling at home, but they really need this win if they want to keep their hopes of European football alive.
Mhm.
And then you have Torino, historically strong against Udinese, but they've been battling inconsistency and this very strange New Year's Eve slump. It feels like it could go either way.
It really does. So, listener, I'm going to put this to you.
Oh, good one.
Based on everything we've talked about, who do you think is going to win this match? Let us know.
Yeah, let us know. And one final thing to think about, just to keep those soccer brains working. These two teams, they have very different styles of play.
They do.
Udinese, they like to control the possession, build up slowly, methodically.
Yep.
Torino, much more direct, relies on those quick transitions.
Totally.
So who's going to be able to impose their style on the match? That right there, that might be the deciding factor in this New Year's Eve clash.
Couldn't agree more.
All right, well, Happy New Year to everyone. Hope you enjoy the game.
Cheers.